Hey, community, it is Ryan Frank, and welcome to the KidzMatter Podcast. I am so grateful that you are here. I want to remind you that we have a YouTube version of the podcast as well as an audio version of the podcast. You can catch the audio version on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, iHeartRadio, all kinds of places. If you want to figure out where to catch the podcast, go to kidzmatter.com/podcast. If you love the Kids Matter podcast, you will also love Kids Matter Pro's Members Only podcast. Go check that out at kidzmatter.com/podcast. Hey, in today's episode, I had the opportunity to talk with Jodie Slongo. Jodie is a children's pastor in the Detroit metro area. She is an active part of Kids Matter's I Love KidMin Facebook community, and she is going to be a breakout speaker at this year's Kids Matter conference. By the way, will I see you at the Kids Matter conference? I sure hope so. The Kids Matter conference is the leading event for children's ministry leaders and their teams. It is happening September 24th, 25th, and 26th, which, hey, that might seem like a while down the road, but it's really not that far away. A little under 5 months, I believe, away. And we'll all be meeting together in Evansville, Indiana at the Old National Events Plaza. Over 3,000 people in this community gather together for 3 days of training, worship, inspiration, getting resourced, and someone wins a car every year. It might be you. Go check out the kidsmatterconference.com. Of course, all the links to the podcast, Kids Matter Pro, the Kids Matter Conference, all of our resources can be found at kidsmatter.com. Today, we're going to talk about strengthening community ties through your children's ministry. How do you become an active partner with your community, where you are partnering with your local school system, with the local government? And how are you actively reaching out into your community on an ongoing basis? And not just waiting for the kids to come to your church when the doors are open, but you are leaving the church and you're doing things in the parking lot and in the community. That's what Jodie and I talked about today. We talked about how to authentically engage our communities through events and experiences. How can we foster inclusivity and even meet the diverse needs that exist within each of our communities. We also talked about the importance, but the challenge, of having a good follow-up strategy and ongoing engagement after these events happen. This is going to be super, super practical conversation that I know you are going to enjoy and that you're going to learn from. So with no further ado, let's get this show on the road. Here is my conversation with Jodie Slongo about strengthening community ties through your children's ministry. What's up, Jodie? Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, we're so glad you're here. This is Jodie Slongo. Did I say your last name right?
You did, yes.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay. Jodie Slongo. Jodie is an active part, as I said in the intro, an active part of our community, and the kids should be speaking at the Kids Matter conference this fall. And not too far from where Beth and I live in Kids Matter HQ. We're in Indiana. She's up in Michigan. And we're so grateful, Jodie, to have you part of the conversation on the podcast today, because we're going to talk about such an important topic that I know is something you're passionate about, something you're going to speak on this fall at the Kids Matter conference. And that is really getting involved in the community where your church is at. But before we jump into that, Jodie, take a minute and tell us about your family, about your ministry journey. What does your week-to-week ministry look like today?
Well, thanks for having me. My family, I have an amazing husband. His name is Anthony, and he works at a huge hospital here in Michigan, works hard, and he helps me when he can.
Yeah.
I try not to pull him in too much because I respect him and what he does, and he works at our security here, and so he works alongside with me in that. Got two amazing kids, love them to death. They help me in my ministry here at church. But my ministry journey here to kids ministry, kind of funny. I grew up in church, served a long time, served in kids, but I thought God was calling me to be a missionary.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought God wanted me to build churches, like physically, like I was ready for that hard labor. So I went off to college, and the college I went to required all the girls to take an education class. And I was like, there's no way I'm working with kids. God
Yeah.
wants me to be a missionary and to build churches and do these things. And I took one education class and fell in love with teaching kids.
Mm.
So it changed my path completely. And so I started working in kids ministry, serving and volunteering. And I've worked in many different diverse settings since. I've worked in bus routes in downtown Detroit. I've done like a mega campus in Pensacola, Florida. I've done small town in Wisconsin. I've actually worked at a children's program at a homeless shelter here in Pontiac, Michigan.
Okay.
And, now here I'm at I've done now here at Stony Creek Church Children's Program Director for over 10 years. So just many different diverse programs working with kids for well over 20 years at this point.
I love it.
So an amazing journey.
What a journey. Yeah, that's cool. And we have a couple connection points I didn't realize. One is that you've worked in the bus ministry, because Beth and I have done a lot of bus ministry in our life. And so we love bus ministry. And then you got a connection to Pensacola, Florida. So you worked at a church in Pensacola?
I think we went to the same college in Pensacola.
Did you go to Pensacola Christian College?
I sure did for 2.5 years.
Fun. Okay. Yeah. I went to seminary there. I did not make that connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we could share some Pensacola stories, I'm sure.
We could.
That could be a podcast of its own, couldn't it? That's so neat.
It
okay.
Could. Yeah.
So you did your undergraduate at Pensacola?
Yep. I did it for 2 years and transferred to Maranatha in Wisconsin.
Okay. Very fun. That's really neat.
And graduated undergrad there. Yep.
Yeah. How neat. Yep. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And Beth and I went to youth camp one summer at Maranatha in Wisconsin too. So we're making a lot of connection points. Yeah.
Man.
Very cool. All right, Jodie. So we are talking today about shifting our mindset from just ministry happening on Sundays or Wednesday nights at our church to what can we do to really engage our community. This is something you're passionate about. We talked to us about that. We have a lot of children's ministry leaders watching, listening. How can we really engage our community through events and experiences? What's that look like for you? What are your thoughts around that?
Right. So my big thing with our church here is building authentic relationships. That is key. That is how you lay a foundation with your community, is authentic relationships. And how we've done that here in Stony Creek Church is actually we started with our local government. We have reached out to our local mayor, our Parks and Rec, and we have worked with them very closely on events, on needs for our families within our community. We've done coat drives. We've done needs and supplies. We actually created a blessing box right outside our front doors in supplying needs for families within the area. But many of our events that we host, such as Trunk or Treat and the Bunny Trail, which I'll talk more about later, all started with conversations with our local government and our mayor. They were hosting our events or their events, and they just weren't growing. They just weren't getting what they wanted it to be, or they were chaotic and they were tired of hosting the events. And we came alongside of them and we were like, hey, we want to do this with you. We didn't want to just take it over. We said to our mayor, we're like, hey, let's partner together. Let's do this and let's make this bigger for our city, because we want, as Stony Creek Church, we don't want to just be a building for the city. We want to be this lighthouse. We want to be this place that families come to and know that they can walk through our doors and be part of our family. They can walk in and feel welcome and feel part of something, be part of something bigger and greater.
Yeah.
And then we worked with our Parks and Rec, and then it continued on to our local businesses. Our local businesses work with us as well. We started with just a few, and with many of our events now, I partner with up to 75 different local businesses with the
Wow.
majority of our events, whether it's donating candy, whether they come here for our
Mm-hmm.
events and
Mm-hmm.
open up their trunks, or they pass out business information. So we're working with them and getting their name out in their events. So we're working with
Okay.
them. They have worked with us with coat drives as well, or back to school backpacks. So establishing really strong community ties is really important to us. So we're more than, again, just a name or just trying to get things,
Right.
but establishing super strong roots within our community.
I love that it starts with those relationships, and it doesn't have to be intimidating, does it? That might seem intimidating to some people, like working with the mayor or the town council or, the local government or the school system, but it doesn't have to be intimidating. And a lot of these people and organization, they are looking for partnerships and they want to partner, don't they? They would welcome those
They do.
conversations.
They do. Our mayor was actually relieved because he was so tired of trying to figure out how to organize the Easter egg
Right.
hunt, how to organize something for Halloween. Parks and
Yes.
Rec, a lot of, I don't know how it is where you're at, but like our Parks and Rec is mainly volunteers or
Mm-hmm.
extreme part time. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and they're older ladies who are so sweet and they're like, we don't know how to do this. And so by coming alongside them and partnering with them, we were supporting one another. We were seeing how they were doing it. We're like, well, let's try it this way. And our trunk or treat event now, actually, the way our city is set up, we're connected to our downtown area. So the way our trunk or treat event works now is like families start in our parking lot, and then we have made it so that we've worked with our actual local neighborhood. So our route starts in our parking lot, goes down our local neighborhood streets, that our neighbors actually even come out now and pass out candy, then end up in the downtown community and the businesses pass out. So like we have created this huge community event that even the neighbors participate in now. But that's been something that has taken time and community conversations and just growth and just, again, relationship building.
Yeah, 100%. So we talk to us about some of these events that you do. So what have been some effective events that you have found that have worked for your church in your environment or in your community? We know that every community is different, every church is different, and what works for one is not going to work for everybody. But talk to us about what some of your successful events have looked like, and then how have you found that doing these events outside of the church have really created inclusivity and have met needs that maybe you would not have otherwise met?
So, like I've mentioned, trunk or treat has been our biggest one.
Okay.
That one has been our biggest draw in for a lot of families. We've
Mm-hmm.
also done Meet the Bunny, or the Bunny Trail, we now call it.
Yeah.
Both of those draw in our biggest crowds.
Mm-hmm.
And what we do, especially to help with uh, inclusiveness and meeting diverse needs, I have an amazing crew here who they have an autism center. So like they work
Oh,
with a lot
wow.
of families with diversity and different needs, special
Yeah.
needs. So I have them come in and I'm like, okay, I need you to look at my setup. I need you to look at our environment, and I need you to tell me what adjustments I need to make sure that when these families arrive, they feel welcome and they feel that they are accommodated
I
so that
understand.
their children can participate as much as any other child can. And so they'll come through and let me know, okay, we need these aisles widened. We need
Mm-hmm.
these games lowered down so that they can participate. We had at our Easter, at our bunny trail, we noticed a huge increase where not only parents came with their kids to collect candy and Easter eggs, but we had this huge influx of grandparents. And we noticed that many of them came like in wheelchairs or walkers. So then we noticed we have to increase the width of our aisles and make sure that our
Okay.
aisles are wide
Yep.
enough so that families can come together. And
Yep.
so we made accommodations in that way. We make sure we don't limit, like, only the families from our community can come. No, we make sure that our whole Metro Detroit area knows that our events are open to everyone. So we obviously don't limit, only certain communities can attend. We make sure everyone knows that they are all welcome to our events. Because we want to make sure that everyone feels loved and welcomed and
Yeah.
accommodated when they come attend our events. But another great one we do. Oh, sorry, go
No,
ahead.
I was just gonna say, unpack real quick. We all know what trunk or treats are, but
Yeah.
then this other one,
Yes.
the bunny trail or whatever. Tell us what that looks
Yeah.
like. What's that event like?
Okay, so the bunny trail, we have planned it to be outdoors, but thank you, good
Okay.
old Michigan. Our weather is
Yep.
all over the place.
Yep.
So we have made that an indoor event. And what it is, it's similar to Trunk or Treat, but we move it indoors. And businesses, we have 18 local businesses that now participate in this event. They come into our auditorium and they set up a spot along our trail, which is just a path that we've weaved through our auditorium. And they pass out eggs or candy or items from their business to pass out to kids as they walk through the trail of our auditorium. We
Okay.
decorate, some decor. And
Yep.
at the end of our bunny trail, we have the Easter bunny there, taking pictures with
Fun.
kids and families. We did this last year for the first time with the city. We've done other events with them with Easter, but we took it over officially with them last year, or not took it over,
Okay.
partnered officially with them last year. And last year we had like 300 in attendance. This year we had 464.
Oh,
So we
wow.
had a huge
Okay.
increase, yeah, in attendance. We also had a reptarium come and volunteer their time, had reptiles all over the place. We
Neat.
had a photo booth, but we also pass out donuts, coffee, hot cocoa. We have a team that comes in and are purposely and intentionally welcoming people, having conversations. We have a prayer tent. So we are praying with people. We
I love
pass
that.
out bags from our church that have, a gospel track just for kids. We have an Easter invitation. We pass out. Um, uh, oh man, what else pass out? We have a gospel track specifically for families. So we make sure that we are
Okay.
getting God's word out no matter what. Like that's our number one thing that we as a church pass out. So that is
I
number
love
one,
it.
our focus. But we make sure kids are having fun, but the gospel and God's word is getting out for kids and for parents, as that's
100%.
the number one thing that gets passed out as soon as they walk our door.
That's a great idea. All right. I cut you off. You're about ready to share about a third event. Yeah. Tell us about that one.
Yes. So another one, and this is really good if you are looking for more of a fundraising and community event combo.
Yeah.
So if you're a mom, you've probably heard this before, but mom to mom sales. That's a huge community event
Yeah.
that we host. It's a lot of work. I mean, what events aren't, but it's a big event that we host here at our church. And it's where we host it outdoors in our parking lot. Again, another outdoor event.
Yeah.
We charge folks to take a parking space. And what's really cool is that this is a community builder for us. I've built a relationship with a lawn service store next door to us, and
Fun.
they free of charge give us 50 tables, and we're able to rent those out to our sellers. But what's really cool about that is we have over 500 people that come through for this event,
Oh,
like that come to
wow.
shop this event. And what we do with that is every single person that comes through to shop this event, we give them a bag to shop with. Like, here
Yeah.
you go, here's a free shopping bag. And inside, we put a track and an invitation to Vacation Bible School.
Great idea.
So, yeah. And so we're getting, again, God's word out. We're getting an
Yep.
invitation because these are all moms with kids. So they're getting an invitation out to VBS. But again, what's really great is if you are a kids ministry with a really small budget, this is a really great opportunity for you to raise money for your ministry because you're able to charge for these, moms who want to sell stuff per parking space,
Yes.
and then you charge an admission fee for those people coming in to shop.
Yeah.
And I raise at every sale probably about $1,500
Oh, wow.
that goes right
Okay.
into my ministry.
What a great idea.
So, but it's a community builder. I've got people coming year after year. I got people reaching out, hey, when are you hosting your next mom to mom sale?
Yep.
Like people that look forward to our community events. And we've built this. What's really great is when you keep doing stuff over and over and you do it well, you have people that come back asking when you're going to be hosting these events again. I've got return parents and families looking for Vacation Bible School, looking for our Meet the Bunny event. It's awesome.
I love it. Jodie, talk to us about the importance of follow-up and ongoing engagement after you do a community event, whether it's a trunk or treat, some kind of a parking lot sale like you were just talking about. What does that look like for you guys? Talk to us about why this is so important, and what does that look like for you all as a church?
So I will be honest in saying this is something we're still continually working on. Follow-up can be a challenge with a large outreach event like this. We've been brainstorming ways on how can we intentionally capture information for hosting a large event like this, because it's difficult to capture someone's information without having to offer something in return, because people nowadays don't just want to give you their address or phone number or email address. They just don't want to do it, not without getting something. Hey, what do I get? Do I get a coupon? Do I get a free this, free that? So that does present a challenge where we've been trying to brainstorm ways on how we can do that. But what I find really important, though, Ryan, about the engagement factor afterwards, or maybe leading up to those events, you have to have that presence on social media, that engagement before and after. That heavy presence really gets people excited and involved. What we tend to do is like interactive posts and contests. You get people talking, kind of like what you do almost daily on the KidzMatter Facebook. You pull me in almost every day. Like your posts capture my attention. You want to give people something to look forward to for your actual event coming up. And then once your event is over, you want to give people something to look forward to. So for example, with our bunny trail that we just ended, I already posted, hey, our next big event is our mom to mom sale. And now I'm working on our mom to mom sale. And right after the ending, it's, hey, VBS is next. So that engagement is so important, because if you don't have that, people are not going to be paying attention to what you are doing.
100%. Yeah. And I think this is, I appreciate you being honest at the beginning and, transparent and saying like, we're trying to figure this out, because I think a lot of churches would be in the same boat that, follow up. We all know it's important and it's got to play a key role, but it is difficult to do with these larger events. And what we'll do this week is we'll post in our I Love Kidman Facebook community. We'll link to this podcast, but then we'll post a question where we hear from you all that are listening. And what does follow-up look like for you? And let's learn from each other. Jodie has shared some good ideas here. What have you found that works for you in your children's ministry after a big event when we think about ongoing engagement, follow-up? So jump over to KidzMatter's I Love Kidman Facebook community and just search for this episode of the podcast, and you'll find a post about that. Jodie, I always like to end the podcast with two questions. First of all, I'd love to hear from you. What's your favorite Bible story, and what makes it your favorite?
Oh man, we were just talking about this in my staff meeting this morning.
Yeah.
My favorite is the woman with the issue of blood, which probably sounds kind of crazy, but I absolutely love it.
Yep.
And it's, I love Mark chapter 5's version. And I love it because you've got this woman. If you've seen The Chosen, please watch it, because that rendition of it is so beautiful.
It is.
Because it's a woman, and if I start crying, I apologize, because it's so moving. Because you see this woman who's so desperate. She has had this life with this issue. She has spent all of her money on doctors, on everything she could possible to find a solution. And she's been cast aside because she's considered unclean. She's got no solution. And she hears of this man, Jesus. She hears of this man who's performed miracles. And she thinks, if I could only touch his garment, I could be healed, right? And so she is getting through this crowd who has rejected her, who has cast her aside. And she's fighting through them. And the same people who are also so desperate to get to Jesus, right? And she gets to the ground and she touches the hem of his garment. And her faith is so strong that just by that small touch, she feels that she is healed. And what I find so amazing that her touch, despite all these other people's touches on Jesus, her one singular touch stops Jesus dead in his tracks. And he says, "Who touched me?" And, you know, Peter's are like, "Jesus, hello, we've got all these people around us. They're all touching you." Right.
Yep.
And he goes, "No, this touch is different." And it was, he turns around and she's like ashamed. She goes, "I'm sorry, you know, I touched you." And he goes, "Daughter, your faith, you know, not your religion, not anything else, your faith has made you whole." And man, just her freedom, her everything in that moment. And The Chosen just did it so beautiful. It just, her faith alone healed her.
That. What a great story.
Just a powerful, powerful story.
100%.
Yes.
So inspiring. God's so good. All right. Last question, Jodie.
Yes.
What's something big that you're working on right now?
VBS.
VBS. Yeah. Talk to us about it.
Yep. Oh, yes. My team and I are working on it right now. We are got our volunteer list live and going. And right now we're just brainstorming the decor of it all. Trying to figure out what our main stage is going to look like, because I love going big. I am a visually oriented person.
Okay. Yep.
I usually post my stages pretty often on our pages and stuff. I'm visually oriented. I'm a big person of, if we want kids to get here to church, if we want kids to hear about Jesus, HEAR, we want them, we got to get them here to church first. Like, we got to get them here to see it all.
100%.
So I might have flipped that around. So I want them here to see and have fun and just, so I'm visually oriented. And so I love going big, and so that's what I'm working on right now.
Neat. So which VBS did you guys land on for this summer?
Answers in Genesis, the Jungle Journey.
Nice. That's going to be a good one from what I hear.
Yes. Our boys, we find our boys really love it because of the science aspect.
Yes.
They love the experiments and hands-on stuff. And the games are really interactive for them. So if you've got boys that love that stuff, Answers in Genesis is the way to go. I
love it. And we'll link in the show notes to their VBS. It is a great VBS if you're still shopping the market. There are a lot of good ones out there, but a lot of people do love Answers in Genesis. And one thing about their curriculum and their VBS, they're not afraid to go deep with the kids. I mean, you've seen it this summer. They're going into the 7 C's of history. And it's like they're drilling deep into this, and they get it that, hey, I think we know that our kids are capable of learning much more than we give them credit for sometimes. And that's one of the great things I appreciate about Answers in Genesis, just their commitment to the gospel and getting kids grounded in their faith. So go check out their VBS. Jodie, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much. It's going to be great to see you in just around 5 months or a little less at the KidzMatter conference.
I'm excited. I can't wait.
Yeah, you're going to lead a breakout on this very topic. So it's going to be wonderful. Jodie, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for what you're doing to make a difference up in the Detroit, Michigan area. And I know God is using you to just encourage kids ministry leaders all over. You're such an active part of our community. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me, Ryan. I really appreciate it.
Yep, you too. See you later.
All right, have a good one.
You too.